Today's guest is a current NXT champion who is getting set to headline the biggest NXT show in history when he takes on Kevin Owens August 22nd at NXT Takeover Brooklyn. Inside the Barclays Center, he is none other than Finn Balor. How's it going, champ?
Things are going great, Alfred. Thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime. Pleasure to have you. Right off the bat, I just wanted to make sure you were okay after an incident that certainly looked scary when I saw the picture. You hit your head on a ceiling panel while going for the coup de grace. Are you doing fine? Is there any residual effects from that?
Yeah, I've been suffering, seeing stars, but I think they weren't actually, they were actual stars after going through the ceiling. They weren't, fictitious stars. No, I'm feeling fine, That was a slight accident, but, maybe I gotta put some straps on myself, keep myself down sometimes.
Yeah, well, other than the ceiling panel itself, what was going through your mind when that happened? Was this a scary moment for you?
It's an interesting point because, when I walked into the building, I looked at the ceiling and I said, that ceiling looks a little low. I better be careful later on, But, of course, in the heat of the moment, that's the last thing I'm thinking about is looking up and I was Solomon Crowe laying on the mat, in front of me. So, I jumped up and, obviously I kept the ceiling. I was lucky it was a drop ceiling, it wasn't solid. I kind of popped up through it. A little bit of dust messed my hair, came crashing down, I think it looked a lot worse than it was. Thankfully, no one was hurt seriously, and, we all lived to fight another day.
You recently teased an alliance with Paul Heyman on social media to where maybe you'll fight another day in his corner or with him in your corner. Of course, fans went nuts. Was this just a harmless tease, or are you being groomed as the next Paul Heyman guy?
No, obviously I'm a big admirer of Paul, and, I've had a lot of conversations with Paul, about, what we could do potentially in the future, but, it's all hypothetical at the moment, and, that was some incredible fan art that, I'm very fortunate that people send me all the time, and, I like to obviously, publicize some of their work, and, that's literally all that was. Obviously, a lot of people read into it in their own way, and I apologize for that, but, who knows? I will be in Brooklyn for NXT Takeover. I believe SummerSlam is in Brooklyn the next night. I believe Raw is in Brooklyn the next night. So I'll be in Brooklyn. Who knows?
I love how you apologize for that tease, only to give another tease of the potential of Paul Heyman being in your corner.
Well, Alfred, I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve, all right? But I'm not going to let all the cats in the bag look quite yet.
I completely understand it. You're born and bred for this business, my friend. There is so much mystique behind the Finn Balor character, though, and I know a lot of internet people like the idea of Paul Heyman and Finn Balor. It sounds awesome, but honestly, Finn, you're good on promos. You've got an amazing, mysterious entrance. I don't think the Finn Balor character needs a manager, do you?
Well, to be honest with you, as much respect and as much admiration as I have for Paul, I honestly don't see how it would work, my character working with Paul. Maybe in the future, if, I kind of tweak things and go a different direction, obviously, we could work something out. But, for the moment, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing right now. And I'm very happy being in NXT. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of teases. I tease a lot of stuff online. But, what we're doing in NXT right now is groundbreaking. It's revolutionary. For me, it's like a renaissance period in wrestling, and I want to be involved in NXT. I don't want to go to the quote-unquote main roster. I don't want to get called up, so to speak, because I believe that we as NXT are building something together that is going to be looked back on in 10 years the same way that we now look back on the ECW period as being revolutionary at that time. And this is something that I want to be involved in. I don't want to leave this behind. I came here to be part of NXT. I'm NXT champion. I'm proud to be NXT champion. I'm going to defend the belt against Kevin Owens in Barclays. I'm going to go on to remain NXT champion and continue building this brand.
That is so interesting to hear, Finn, because I've talked to several talents who are in NXT or maybe recently just left NXT, and as much as they loved being there, they all said that they couldn't wait to get to the main roster. You're on the other side, so am I to understand if WWE proposed that you headline to WrestleMania, you would be more comfortable with NXT and building that?
Don't get me wrong. Obviously everyone wants to headline WrestleMania, but I believe that there will there will come a time that NXT is as influential as Raw, it is as influential as SmackDown, and it will be on the same card as WrestleMania. There won't be any differentiation between NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. This brand has grown. It's a completely different dynamic to any other show right now on the network. And I believe that, maybe a year, 2 years down the line, that, the NXT Championship will be on WrestleMania.
Very, very interesting. Now, you talked about the influence that NXT has. You were part of another influential group in New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Bullet Club. This was covered in your documentary in WWE. It was wildly successful, and I look at all the big independent stars who are currently under the NXT umbrella and more to come. And I'm thinking to myself, do you think a Bullet Club-esque stable, something similar to that, would work in NXT with a bunch of different talented superstars all working together?
Stables obviously have proven in history to always kind of, make a stir. And obviously the Bullet Club was something that, I was heavily involved in. But, that's something that's in my past. That was 3 years ago. It's something that was a very special moment in time that we captured perfectly at that time. But, that's not something that I can just recreate. It's like trying to recapture NWO. We can't recapture what Bullet Club was. It was a moment in time. It's gone. Well, for me, it's gone. Obviously it's still going strong in its own right. But for me, it's gone, and I'm moving on to new things. And, as I said, I've got plenty of tricks up my sleeve, and I've plenty of kind of more ideas that I'm going to be kind of touting around at the office, and I'm gonna look forward to the future as opposed to looking back to the past.
Now, as we look forward to the future, after facing Kevin Owens at Sumo Hall, now you're going to face Kevin Owens in a big arena, 13,000 people, biggest show in NXT history, and from there, you talked about how much you want to build NXT. Right now, it doesn't seem like it can get any bigger. But what do you think you can do personally to help build that brand and move it forward?
Well, obviously this is the biggest show NXT has had. Tokyo is a very different story. Me and Kevin kind of came in to NXT together, kind of went through a lot of the same kind of struggles in adapting to life at the Performance Center, life in NXT, life in corporate WWE, life in the United States. It was all, an adaptation period for both of us. We went through that together. A year later, we're standing back in my backyard in Tokyo, Japan, facing each other for the NXT Championship. And, it was a long kind of road over that year from, when we were doing bumps and rolls, Performance Center, treated as rookies after, coming in with a big, quote-unquote big name signing, all this press, all this media, all this, internet attention, and then, we're kind of pegged down to right back at the bottom of the barrel in the Performance Center, and that was a slow climb, but, that was necessary. We came through that together. Obviously, we went our separate ways. We stood opposite each other in Tokyo for the NXT Championship. That felt big, but for some reason, at Barclays, it feels so much bigger. And I think the main reason is, in Tokyo, it was a WWE show. Huge supporting cast of all the main roster. In Brooklyn, it's an NXT show, and it's 13,000 people sold out on the idea of seeing an NXT show. And that's not because of me, that's not because of Kevin, that's because of the whole team, top to bottom. Colin Cassidy, Enzo Amore, Dash, Dawson, Gable, Jordan, Breeze, Hideo, Zayn, everyone, top to bottom. The fans want to see NXT. They don't just want to see one person. Obviously, I'm very proud to be champion, but it's a team effort, and without the team, the brand is nothing.
Final couple of questions here. First, I just want to know, what's the best advice somebody's ever given you in NXT? You're a veteran, you've had a lot of experience in wrestling, and now you're on the WWE/NXT stage. So is there any advice that ever stood out to you that you carry with you to this day?
Yeah, when I first came in, I was about to have my first match. I went up to Road Dogg, and I said, Dog, have you any advice for me? And he goes, Finn, you just go out there and do you. Don't change what you have done in your past, got you here. don't change one thing. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of little small things that I've tinkered with, but for the most part, I'm just going out there and I'm being me. And, you know, if something doesn't feel right, if, you know, I'm advised to do something that I wouldn't normally do, if it doesn't feel right to me, I need to look back at that advice that well dog gave me, and, you know, just do you and just do what feels right. And, you know, that's what I've been doing.
Final question. I know you grew up watching wrestling, so tell me your favorite memories of the great Roddy Piper, who recently passed away.
Yeah, you know, obviously unbelievable performer. When obviously he came out with the body paint once or twice, you know. So that was obviously a great memory. Who forgets the coconut, you know? But I think, you know, just his intensity in the promos and you know, it was really kind of, he really blurred the line between, you know, sports entertainment and reality, because, you know, for me as a kid, I couldn't tell why this guy, why I was drawn to him, why, you know, he was so captivating. He just made me believe, you know, and that's the only way I can explain it. I believe this guy was the real deal. And, you know, obviously it's a, you know, terrible loss for the industry, a very sad time, you know, but we're blessed to have such an incredible performer as part of this industry.
He is Finn Balor, NXT Champion. He will take on Kevin Owens next week, August 22nd, at NXT Takeover Brooklyn. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Alfred.
If you're going to be a bigot, why not do so in a company with no black board members, no black corporate executives, never had a black WWE champion, no black writers, and even outside of the WWE, no black journalists or columnists who regularly cover professional wrestling with the exception of me? Like, if I quit and left for the Nation of Islam tomorrow, pro wrestling would look a lot like Duck Dynasty.